Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Better Basics podcast. I am Matt Stone, and as always, I have my best friend and co-host, Dylan Waldhuter, with me. Dylan, it's great to see you, as always. It was even better to see you and the family when you came out to visit last weekend, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was fun being in Door County in the winter. It was cold, but quieter.
Yeah, no kidding.
Quieter. Yeah, didn't have to sit in all that traffic.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that's not familiar, Door County is the peninsula in Wisconsin. It's where I live, and it's a really touristy area. It's getting super, super popular. So most people come up to visit in the summertime, but it's just bananas up here. The off-season, the wintertime, is my favorite time to be here because it's quiet. You actually... like you said, can get around places a little easier, and it just reminds you it's a small town at the core of it. So, it was awesome. You know, got to hang out with your little guy. First time that I really got to spend some extended time with him, and he's getting to a fun age, man, a dangerous one for you guys because he's mobile.
Dangerous is right. He's mobile and he's smart. But
Bad combo.
but not like that smart. So or not the right kind of smart. So like he'll want things or try to communicate things that maybe make sense in his mind but don't make sense to us as adults. And so when we can't give him what he wants, it's just terror. It's just screaming.
And he's like, how do you guys not understand what I'm trying to explain to you right now? I've made it as abundantly clear as I possibly can.
Yeah. I think a lot of parents, there's this trend to teach their kids sign language because they can actually understand more, but don't have the vocal capabilities yet to communicate it. We haven't done a great job of that, but I could see how that could help.
Yeah, I could see that being really useful too. As someone that I know maybe just a couple signs that wouldn't get me very far.
Yeah.
But yeah, for parents who are a bit more advantageous as we are, I think that could be that could be good advice.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the episode today. The hot topic this week is a little cleanup from our last podcast. If you listen to that one, I was struggling to figure out as we were trying to make the connection, basically like correlation does not equal causation. And I was struggling to find there was a Rob Schneider one that was just, I couldn't figure it out, stuck in my craw. But this is pretty good, Dylan. I found the article right after we hopped off and sent it over to you, and we said we had to talk about it because this highlights correlation does not equal causation as good as anything that I can think of. So we all know, maybe we don't, but you and I remember the 1990s and early 2000s actor Rob Schneider. He's part of the Adam Sandler gang and had a few opportunities to lead in movies or be like really heavily featured, where more often than not he was just kind of a bit character for Adam Sandler. Unfortunately for Mr. Schneider, he had some bad luck when it came to those movies that he was headlining. So from 1999 to 2011, there are, what they say in the article is, oil spills to Schneider-centric films. There's a lot of them. So real quick, Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo came out December 10th, 1999. There was a tanker spill, MV Erica, on December 11th, 1999, one day after. The Hot Chick, who could forget that, December 13th, 2002. Same day, December 13th, 2002, the Prestige oil spill reaches shore. In 2005, Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo releases on August 12th. Well, that was smack dab in the middle of the Hurricane Katrina oil spill between August 5th to 15th. Big Stan, which was on November 5th, 2007. Rob Schneider was the lead of Big Stan. Dylan, do you remember Big Stan?
Never heard
It might
of
have
it.
gone direct. Me neither. It might have gone directly to DVD. I'm sure our buddy Andrew Geyer's seen it, though. The same day, November 7th, 2007, Costco Busen tanker spill. And then finally, Grown Ups, June 25th, 2010. The Deepwater Horizon vessel was June 25th, 2010. So obviously, these two things have nothing to do with each other. However, if you saw a graph that had Rob Schneider-centric films and major oil spills, you would make the assumption that there was something going on there. So I guess, well, no, I mean, I haven't gotten your opinion on this yet, Dylan. So do you think that Rob Schneider and him starring in films has anything to do with major oil spills?
Well, the way we could use correlation here would be to study it further, which I think is where correlation has quite a bit of use. This is so strange, I don't know that it warrants it. And if we were to study it, we'd probably have to figure out how to study the supernatural because if there is any causation in this, it's fucking weird. It's some like some extraterrestrial supernatural type of
Right.
a thing going on here. So yeah, I mean a great example. It's terrible for Rob Schneider. It's worse for the planet. And what I find most interesting is I don't think he's featured in a film since 2010. So maybe somebody was like, hold on.
Yeah, well, there's something going on here.
Our oceans are doomed. Yeah.
Maybe. Poor Rob. All right. Let's transition to the Worth It segment. This week, we're going to talk about greens powders. There's something that have become immensely popular over, the last 5-10 years, especially with the rise of probably the most prominent one. Athletic Greens they've just shortened it to AG1 is their primary formula because they have a bunch of other products that they sell to you now. And so, greens powders like AG1, they become popular because they're seen as this convenient way to supplement your daily nutrition. And they do have some pros. There is just the straight up convenience factor. They're quick, easy to mix, really a simple way to add micronutrients to the diet. A lot of times they are really nutrient dense, especially if you get a high quality greens product. There's a ton of vitamins, minerals, probiotics, antioxidants, adaptogens. All these things we do know support overall health. They can be good for the gut. They may, some of these vitamins and antioxidants could help with, recovering from workouts. And they make all kinds of claims. But really, at the end of the day, I think the major critiques with these things are important to go over, because while there are some just inherently, some naturally good things about these greens powders, it's not as if they're just this silver bullet that oftentimes the makers of them, want them to be.
Yeah, so pros and cons. I think the pros are they taste pretty good. I've tried them.
Some of them can. Some of them, taste like
AG1
specifically does taste good. Yeah.
Yeah. And they are, chock full of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. The cons are, I think the biggest con is they're insanely expensive. I think like 30 servings of AG1 is almost $100.
Yeah, I think it's like $80, and I don't know if that includes shipping.
Yeah, so really, really expensive. They're not vegetables, which is sort of what they're marketed as, right? Like
Right.
At the end of the day, they're really just incredibly expensive vitamins. They're no different than really what you'd get in a capsule. Were they to take these same ingredients, put them in a capsule, and you were to swallow it with some water, it would be doing effectively the same thing. There are components in vegetables themselves beyond just the vitamins and nutrients that make them healthy for you, notably the fiber. I'm actually listening to Stephen Bartlett on Diary of a CEO's most recent guest. It's Dr. Sarah Berry. She's a nutrition scientist, and interestingly, she's started to talk a bit about, and I'm still listening through it, and this is something I think that might be worth discussing at some point in time because it's complex but really interesting if we can distill it down into something more digestible. But she's talking about the food matrix and how the chemical components of food and how they're processed actually impact how our body reacts to them differently. So, in other words, a floret of broccoli, if you were to eat it raw versus if you were to eat it steamed versus if you were to eat it blended versus if you were to eat it distilled down to its micronutrient components,
Right.
all of those different ways of consuming broccoli is going to have a different impact on how your body responds to that food. So to suggest that this is like a vegetable, fruit and vegetable replacement supplement, I think is completely misled.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest point. Besides the cost, is a lot of times you see this as something that people are using to replace getting greens in their diet. They think, oh, I've had my AG1 or whatever my greens powder is for the day. I don't have to worry about that aspect of my diet. And you're really just you're not getting the synergistic benefits that come from eating those whole fruits and vegetables, and namely the fiber, but there's a bunch of other stuff that goes with it. So, I mean, I think that is a really good point. The other thing, and this can go either way with these greens powders, one, like you said, if you are taking a multivitamin too, there's the potential, serious potential for nutrient overload. I looked at the nutrition facts for AG1, and it was something like 500% of the daily recommended value of vitamin C is in there, and like there's generally people can handle a lot of vitamin C in their diet, and a lot of experts do suggest they can take more than what the daily value is, but at some point that is going to become harmful if you are overdoing it. And the one thing that you do see a lot, especially with like multivitamins, these one size fits all multivitamins with this AG1, vitamin C tends to be one of those things that they pack in there. One, because it's in a lot of the things that they're using. Vitamin C is prevalent in a lot of these things, but also because it's just an easy way for them to shore up the label. So there's that potential for nutrient overload. But the other thing, and this is, I think, the discouraging thing and the more misleading thing, is a lot of times those ingredients are underdosed, or they're it's less there's less of it than is needed for it to actually be bioavailable and used in our bodies, but they put some of it in there so that they can put it on the label and they can make all these claims that we have this and that. And so you just got to be really careful with those things. So at the end of the day, I think that while these greens powders, they can be useful as a supplement, I think we both agree they should not replace a diet rich in whole foods. And if your diet's already well balanced and you eat fruits and vegetables regularly, this isn't something that you really need to think about adding. However, if you are struggling with getting greens on a daily basis, if you travel a lot, it is a good thing that you can have around. But I wouldn't recommend it, especially at the cost, for somebody to be relying on it for daily use.
Yeah, neither would I. The best way you can get, in the bigger picture, the best way you can get these vitamins, minerals, and nutrients is by eating them, by eating a whole food, balanced diet. The next best way to approach this is, to your point about nutrient overload, is to identify any nutrients that you're perhaps deficient in. Try to eat more of them. If you can't eat more of them, supplement with those specific vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. The next best thing is probably to take a quality multivitamin. And then the next best thing after that, if you've got the means and can afford it, you could look at something like an AG1. But you have to keep in mind, it's really just an expensive multivitamin. One other little benefit maybe could be that adherence is a bit higher. There's studies to show that like gummy versions of supplements, people take them more regularly than
than like pills. Yeah.
Sure. So maybe there's something to that, but I'm with you. I think the way to use these, if you're interested, they do sell them in single serve packets, which I like. So they're really convenient for travel. And then, you can get your $100, your $80, whatever, to spread over the course of multiple months, where maybe you
Right.
look to it once a week on a day where you're really busy or you're traveling, or for whatever reason you're not getting the quantity and quality of nutrients that you require. So I
Yeah.
would, yeah.
But I think don't fall for. I saw this the last time I was in the airport. Don't fall for the AG1 vending machine that's in the airport. They're gonna.
That exists?
So it exists. It's an AG1 vending machine, and they sell you. It's not like they just sell you the packets. You have to buy the whole freaking thing, like the glass, like the bottle and everything. So it's got to be like $80 to $100 on a vending
That's
machine.
really smart marketing, though. Like what a smart place to put it.
Brilliant. Yeah, but don't worry about it. If you're already in the airport and you don't have your daily greens powders, don't fall for it. At the end of the day, I mean, I feel like this has to get probably not.
I don't think it's worth it. Yeah.
Not worth it. Not
price.
worth it.
Yeah. Not worth it.
Yeah, okay. All right, awesome. Let's move on to the course. Today, we're going to do something, I think this will be fun. It's do these 10 simple things to help lose weight. So we're just going to give you 10 simple things that you can start to implement, right away. Some of these things are so friggin' easy. And they're all things, we're not reinventing the wheel with this conversation, Dylan. We are not trying to say anything. This will not be an inflammatory podcast. This will not be controversial. Maybe we can find a way. Maybe that should be the goal for the next 30, 40 minutes here. Is where can we find the controversy here?
A soundbite? Yeah.
Yeah. But so, really we just have 10 simple things. And if you do these, it's going to help you lose weight. Dylan, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. So losing weight has become so complicated. The way it's marketed to us now, you got to do all these crazy things.
Yeah, it seems impossible.
Yeah, it's really not. It's not complicated. It's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy, right?
Well, but that's actually it, because it's one of the two. It's either weight loss is really hard, that's why you need my help, or weight loss is so easy. How do you not understand this yet? And and I like how you said that, though. It's simple, but that doesn't make it easy.
Right. I think that's absolutely the truth. So we're going to share things that are simple. Habitualizing them is maybe not quite as easy, but like you said, these are things that I genuinely believe that if you can figure out a way to habitualize these 10 things, and weight loss is a priority for you, the weight will fall off over time if you do them consistently and be significantly more effective and sustainable than any other means, a crash diet, a crazy workout plan, whatever it is.
You'll lose it and it'll stay off. You have a better chance of keeping the weight off if you do these things.
You bet. So the first thing we have on the list here is an interesting one, because it seems very ulterior to the motive around weight loss, which is don't focus on the weight or the scale. Focus on building strength. So we've talked a little bit about this on previous podcasts, but what we're ultimately after when we're trying to lose weight is achieving a calorie deficit. And the calorie deficit is going to be informed by kind of how many calories you're going to burn on a given day through just everything you're doing, walking, breathing, sitting, sleeping, to the exercise you do that's maybe more targeted towards weight loss. And by building strength, what you're effectively doing is increasing the other side of that spectrum, which is the amount of calories you need to consume in order to maintain your weight. So by putting on muscle's expensive, right? So by putting muscle on your body, your average calorie intake, your baseline for calories in order to maintain weight will go up. And so therefore, when you continue to eat at that same rate or cut some calories a bit, the weight loss becomes significantly easier. So by focusing on strength versus cardio or weight loss, or looking at the scale on a daily or weekly basis, you're setting yourself up for more sustainable long-term success. The weight you lose in a given, or the calories you burn, I should say, in any given workout, whether it's cardio or strength training or otherwise, is so minimal in the context of your total daily energy expenditure. And what we really want to do is get that total daily energy expenditure working in your favor as it relates to the amount of calories you consume versus the amount of calories you burn.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because if we are looking at our workouts as opportunities to burn calories, then you're really shooting yourself in the foot, because you, like you said, you burn far more calories not exercising, just existing, moving throughout the day, working. Your brain is burning calories as you are working through, work problems or family stuff. You burn so many more calories just existing than you do in your workouts. So that should really take the pressure off of the workout as far as the need to burn calories.
Yeah.
And that's where one of those things, and we'll talk a little bit about wearables later and some of the good things about certain fitness wearables. But one of the things that is annoying for me as a trainer is, now everybody's got the Apple Watch, and they, set the watch as soon as they walk in, and they're taking a peek at their heart rate and looking at the calories. And especially, if you come from somebody who is looking for is in the gym mainly for body recomposition, and with that body recomposition, they mean fat loss. A lot of times they are looking at those calories, really obsessed with them. And you're exactly right. If you can instead use your workouts to just focus on building muscle, your body's going to become a much more efficient user of those calories. So now, you're building muscle in your workout, and then all the calories that you're burning just existing throughout the day go up because you are more muscular. And like you said, muscle's expensive. So I think that's such a good place to start. And then the other thing that it does that I really like is it gets people's minds off the scale. And when we are thinking about fat loss, it becomes so easy to just check in on a daily basis. And, if your weight can fluctuate so much over the course of a day or a couple days, or a bad weekend or a good weekend, or whatever the case may be. And so just getting out of that habit, checking the scale less and just focusing on your strength gains more is huge.
Yeah, there's an important point you made in there, which is the difference between fat loss and weight loss as well.
Right.
And the scale's only giving you an indication of weight loss. And what we really want to do here is burn fat. So that scale may take, you could be 6 months in, your clothes could fit better or looser. You could see, some sculpting of your arms. You could feel totally better. And the scale may not have moved a whole lot, but by strength training, you're putting on some muscle, which is heavier, and you're burning some body fat. So that body fat percentage is going down significantly, which is ultimately what we are probably after more than anything else. And it's that body recomposition piece that I think is underlying all of this, and incredibly important. So getting rid of that scale is going to get your focus off of the day where you have a few more carbs and hold a bit more water. And so the scale goes up a bit, which has nothing to do with the amount of fat you're carrying.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. All right, the next one, and this is a huge one for a lot of people, because it really does go in the face of a lot of just like American tendencies, and that's start your day off with a quick and high protein meal, whether that is a yogurt bowl, or Dylan, we've talked about our affinities for the big fucking smoothie. Or if it's eggs, we've professed our love for eggs, and have decided that we will never be an anti-egg podcast, no matter how the winds change on eggs, as they seem to do every few years.
We'll never change our mind on.
yeah. Everything else is up for grabs. Not eggs, though. But there's some good reasons why you want to start with protein, and I think one of the biggest ones is that increased satiety and the reduced cravings for the rest of the day. Protein helps keep you fuller longer, and it's going to make you not so. And you all of a sudden, when you get to work, you're not going to be looking around for the snack as quickly. Now there certainly are some mental things, that we have to, some mental hurdles that we have to overcome, with how often we're eating, when it comes to weight loss. But one of the ways that, one of the, just like the physical things that we can do is just pack our meals, and especially that first one with protein.
I notice the days where I'm not getting enough protein because I'm hungrier. Like I can literally tell. It's sort of a cue to me that I need to get some more protein. And I think one of the most important parts of this point is figure out the like quick, really easy, convenient things you can do. Because I think the morning can be rushed for a lot of people. You're trying to get ready for work. You're packing your shit up. You're making your lunch. You got to get your kid out the door. Whatever it is. So that's why I really like for me, a lot of days recently, it's been 2 yogurts, 30 grams of protein, half a cup of granola, another 10 grams of protein, and a cup of frozen blueberries. And it takes me 2 minutes to put together. And I've started my day off with 40 grams of protein. Mm-hmm. And then the second point you made around just appetite and satiety, there are plenty of studies that show if you start your day with a really carb-dense meal, those craving signals will be significantly more triggered throughout the course of the day. So starting your day this way will actually set you up for success throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, I noticed that, but actually kind of in with the inverse of what you were saying, where I notice on those days where if I don't have a high protein breakfast, if I just have a bagel and cream cheese or something, I get hungry pretty much immediately after. Where I would almost rather, I tend to notice that I can hold my appetite better if I were to just skip breakfast altogether. So I'm either going to have a high protein breakfast, or for me, sometimes it works better to just fast for breakfast and then really start getting after the protein with lunch. But I do notice that if I eat in the morning and it is not protein forward, man, like in an hour, I am just ready. I'm ready for more food. And, so I think there's definitely something to that.
Yeah, I don't love that as much personally. I think it's the other point in this point is we should really be aiming to eat about a gram of protein per pound of body weight, 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And that, if you do the math on that, it can be a fairly significant amount of protein per pound of target body weight, I should say, especially if you're trying to lose weight. So
it's tough.
For me, it's tough. If I don't eat till lunch, it's difficult for me to get in my 150, 160 grams of protein throughout the course of the day. So
definitely,
pairing it up with the focus on strength, you want to be getting enough protein. I do think it's important to try to have that first meal if you can, but I hear what you're saying as well.
But some people, because I work with people who are like one meal a day guys, and that's insane to me. But as studies suggest, Jeff Nippert is all over it on the internet right now, just showing that there is we have yet to find the upper threshold of protein that can be consumed in one meal. So this I guess like the point here is there's 1,000 ways to do this right. So find the way that works for you. If you like eating a big breakfast, great. If you rather hold off till lunch, that's fine. Just understand that from a protein standpoint, you're already behind the 8 ball a bit, and you are going to need to make sure that you're a lot more diligent with that the rest of the day.
The next one here I feel really strongly about, and it's the only one here that really requires some investment, but I feel pretty strongly that an investment in something like a Fitbit, something as basic as possible as it relates to tracking daily movement, is actually an excellent investment, especially for people that are aiming to lose weight. And I believe that because it's giving you really simple, really important data, which is to lose weight, you do need to be moving more. It sounds overly simplified. You'll hear people say it. It sounds stupid. But at the end of the day, we know that the average person is not moving nearly enough. So you'll hear these targets like 10,000 steps a day. I think that's pretty arbitrary. I'm not sure how good the science around that target is. But what I would do is I'd wear it for a week and live my normal life and see how many steps I'm getting on an average day.
Yeah.
And if it's not anywhere near 10,000 or 7,500, I would start figuring out some ways to incorporate more movement in my day, whether that's designated walks, whatever it is, and start to see that number go up. It'll give you the indication that you are starting to move more, which is incredibly important. The best exercise for weight loss is really just walking. Like, just walk more. You don't need
move.
You just need to move. So I think this is a really good tool for doing that. I think tools can be helpful in some scenarios. I agree with you that like Apple Watches and some of these other technologies go way too far with like the calorie burn. And I think Fitbits have those integrated now. So I wouldn't focus on that at all, but really just some way to measure the amount you're moving and a goal around how much more you want to move and working towards that.
Yeah, the data is not necessarily bad. I'm not upset that people have access to the data. It's just we become obsessed with it. Now, one thing I will say, one thing I do not like as far as the wearable community go, I don't like the Whoop band. I don't like the I don't like the fitness trackers that give you a score. I don't want people to be relying on what their watch or phone is telling them is how good they feel. You know, I don't want. I think people need to pay more attention to themselves, to how they feel, and not be like, oh, well, today's gonna suck because Whoop said I didn't sleep well last night. You know, it's just like I think it's especially because, well, first off, Whoop specifically, that is a proprietary formula. It's a formula that they're using to calculate this stuff, and you know they're not taking any how you're actually feeling into account. But I do think in general, I love the idea of like a step counter. I love just like a classic step counter.
That might be even better. It's probably like $5 on Amazon.
It's so cheap. The problem is, because I've been looking at them,
pocket.
And then they don't integrate to your phone. So if you if you use other like fitness tracking apps, it doesn't integrate with it. So it is, and then because then I also am like, well, I like the heart rate. So now you're wearing a heart rate monitor around your chest. You've got a step counter, and you just seem like you're like a fitness chick from the 80s or something.
Maybe we should make a wearable that's just heart rate and just steps.
It would be. I mean, honestly, like that would be. I think that's awesome. And it'd be nice if it integrates with the phone. But I do think that it, just like you said, just starting to know where you're at can be so helpful. That increased awareness just creates accountability. A lot of times the reason why people struggle to make changes isn't because they don't want to, or not even because like the changes would be that hard. It's because they just don't look at it on a daily basis. It's just something that they're not paying attention to. And so just giving yourself that increased awareness, I think is super important. I also just think that even like you said, I don't know if 10,000 steps is the magic number. But I do know that if you are walking, 3,000 steps on average, and you just try to get up to 10,000, and some days you're getting to 7, some days you're getting up to 10, maybe even 12, you're going to feel better and be healthier because of it. It's not going to be a bad thing to try and get 10,000 steps. Speaking of which, though, do you remember early COVID when our buddy Kaz, he just started working from home, and he showed us his Fitbit or Apple Watch? At the end of the day, it was like 6 o'clock, and he had like 80 steps.
This dude took one shit and 3 peas that day.
He got up to refill his water bottle one time in the whole day. Oh man, sorry, Kaz. But like that is one of those things where you see it. But if he didn't have that wearable, if he hadn't seen that, he probably doesn't even think twice. He's like, well, I really didn't move much today. But now he looks at it and is like, whoa, all right, we've got a problem. Maybe I need to take a walk around the block before dinner.
Right.
But, I do think that there is a lot of value in like having basic data. So I like that one. I think that's good. The next one, it just slapping Whoop right in the face here. You don't need a wearable to tell you how your sleep is going. Just get more sleep. This is so important for so many reasons, but I mean, like the most basic is just sleep is when your body and brain recover. It is when you are going to when you get to unwind, when you really get to recharge the batteries and get ready to attack the next day. And if you're not sleeping well, there are so many studies, Dylan. There's just countless studies that show that people who have trouble sleeping tend to have trouble losing weight.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as, like, if you don't get enough sleep, you're not rested, you don't have the energy to move as much the next day, which will impact your ability to lose weight. But to the latter point you made, I mean, sleep deprivation raises the levels of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and lowers leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. So if you don't sleep enough, you'll have increased hunger and cravings. You'll feel hungrier and less satisfied throughout the course of the day. It's proven to slow down your metabolism. So that resting metabolic rate that we referenced in the strength focus section of this, that actually decreases. Your body will burn fewer calories at rest when you're sleep deprived. You'll store more fat. Lack of sleep will increase cortisol, a stress hormone, which promotes fat storage, especially around the stomach, which everybody's always concerned about.
Yeah.
It has impacts on the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for self-control and decision-making. So that can lead to more impulsive eating, less healthy choices. So there's all sorts of, we've talked about how important it is just for general health, but there are specific things that will occur when you don't get enough sleep that impact your body's ability to burn fat and lose weight specifically.
Yeah, and that was like the physiological stuff that you were talking about. But there's even like the willpower stuff. Like there was that study it was something to the effect of like people who get less than 6 hours of sleep a night or something like that, tend to eat 300 to 500 more calories than people who sleep 8 hours a night. You're just more likely to consume more calories and make worse decisions about the food that you're choosing too. I mean, it's like so important. There's just so many things that that sleep impacts, and I guess like it is one of those things like we harp on it all the time, and I know that it feels for a lot of people like it's easier said than done. Well, you don't have trouble sleeping, or I can't sleep because of X, Y, and Z. And I know that it can be hard for a lot of people. And obviously, I'm not talking to new parents here. If you're a parent, right, and like you got to do what you got to do. There's just going to be times in your life where sleep is going to be hard to come by, but you're going to get past that. And when you are, you need to be really selfish about your sleep, and that is, taking the steps to make sure that your room is good for you to sleep. Making sure that you're paying attention to the mattress that you have, to the pillows that you're using. Just, it doesn't need to be, like the most expensive, but just something that you like, something that is comfortable for you. Blackout curtains are helpful. I know, Dylan, you're a little sleep princess, so you've got your mask. Whatever it is. But I think even more than that is the nighttime routine. And I think this is the biggest thing, the biggest problem that people have. And I struggle with it sometimes. I know it's something that you talked about with your New Year's resolution or, your goals for this year. But it's not looking at the screen. It's not watching TV right up until the moment that you go to bed. It's not scrolling while you've got the covers on, like in your bed. Your phone should not be in bed with you. Mm-hmm. And I know that it's an opportunity that people use to just disassociate from their lives, but we need to be more intentional and selfish around those bedtime principles, because a lot of times we make it harder than it has to be. And we think that we can't sleep because of X, Y, and Z, so we take melatonin or we, have a noise machine or whatever, when really what we need to do is journal, get our thoughts out from the day. Maybe we need to read a little bit to relax our mind. And then, just do those things that, will help you, fall asleep naturally. Think about the stuff that you do for your kids. What do we do for our kids to make them fall asleep easily? We have a routine. Yep. We go brush our teeth. We change into our jammies. We, whatever your nighttime routine is. Yep. Reading a book, talking about our day, whatever that is. We got to do that with ourselves because it's so freaking important.
Sure is. The next one we have is to stop drinking your calories. If you're a soda drinker, if you're a Gatorade drinker, any beverage you're consuming throughout the course of the day that has a caloric load, cutting that out will have a major impact. So a can of Coke has like 140 calories. So if you drink a can of Coke a day, that's 1,000 calories a week. If you do nothing other than cut out that can of Coke a day, and you cut out 1,000 calories a week over the course of 3 months, you will lose weight. You will burn fat. That adds up significantly and fairly quickly. So this is a relatively straightforward one and probably doesn't apply to everybody. But if you are a soda drinker, look to diet alternatives or water or, Crystal Light or Mio or whatever you need to do if you're not a water drinker to make it a little bit more flavorful. But these calories add up. So look to any sources of calories that are coming from things that you drink and try to cut those out, and it'll have a huge impact.
Yeah, and also just do a little audit. If it is wild, some of the drinks that are out there right now. Like you go to Starbucks and they have, they've got frappuccinos that have over 400 calories in them.
Yeah.
These are meals that we're talking about, and this is just somebody grabbing it, as not even as a snack. They're probably grabbing a snack with it, and so it's just one of those things where obviously if it brings you joy and you really like it, then that's awesome. We're not telling you to eliminate them completely, but it needs to be thought about as part of your weight loss strategy. If at the end of the day, the easy, how we lose weight, how we lose fat is by being in a calorie deficit, then, one of the easiest ways to cut out those calories is to just substitute caloric drinks for non-caloric ones. So, it's just one of those kind of just like no doy things, but also, we think about some of the bigger things. A lot of those, sugary drinks, they can lead to sugar spikes, and those crashes can lead to cravings. There's just, it's just one of those things. They're not going to keep you full. Like those calories aren't doing anything. Nobody ever filled up on Diet Coke. Nobody got full because they drank too much Diet Coke or regular Coke, whatever. So it's just one of those things. At the end of the day, they're empty calories, and while they can be something that we enjoy, you need to make sure it's in moderation.
You bet.
Okay, what do we got next here? I found it. Oh, yeah, classic. Number 6, when you eat, just eat. And I think this, there's a couple different ways to think about this, but I think one of the most important things is just being present with your food. We've talked about, like the endless soup bowl experiment, and how mindless eating is so easy. It's so easy to do. You get home and you make yourself some dinner and you plop down on the couch in front of the TV, and you're not even you don't even know how much you've eaten or really what you've eaten. It doesn't even matter what you've eaten because you're distracting yourself while you're doing it. You are going to eat less. You are going to digest better. You're going to feel better if you just eat. If you pay attention, set down the phone, turn off the TV, and connect with with meal times, can be a profound impact on the amount of calories that you actually consume.
Yeah, and when it should probably say like when you eat, just eat and eat slower. When you eat distracted, it's a lot easier to just shovel this stuff down. And that hormone that signals fullness, leptin, that I referenced in the sleep deprivation component, that doesn't occur immediately. So leptin, I think on average takes like 20 minutes to really kick in. So I'm in this scenario frequently where I have to remind myself to slow down because if I'm hungry, I will just shovel food. And on occasion, I'll eat a shitload of food in 10 minutes, and I'll be like, why am I still hungry?
Yeah, because you haven't given it time to settle yet. Yeah, right. I know. That's so true. Where you just like shovel, you don't know what you're doing, and then you're like, I'm still hungry. But if you just like give it a minute, and it just like it goes away.
So slow down, chew more. Chewing is so important for digestion. Be present with that meal, and make eating the activity of eating. You don't need to be. I know it's easy. It's sometimes even relaxing to sit down in front of the TV, watch a movie while you're eating your dinner. But try to separate those things. Sit down, make the experience of eating a time for yourself where you're reflective on the day, a time for your family where you're having conversation. And then when that's done, go do what you need to do to decompress.
Yeah, I've got a couple just practical ways to implement this. One is if you never do this, if you are always eating distracted, just pick one meal a week. Dinner on Friday, whatever it is. Just start with one. It doesn't need to be every single meal all the time. And we're talking to you about this stuff, but I still every once in a while, I'm watching TV while I'm eating dinner. It's not like this is something that you even necessarily need to do all the time. But if you never do it, you definitely should try it. The other thing, and this is one, I think this is such an important, relatively easy thing for us all to implement, but it's don't eat and drive. Mm-hmm. If you don't, and I'm god dang, I'm guilty of it. And again, it's not something, if you do it all the time, it's not something that you need to stop entirely. But you talked about eating quickly and distractedly. There is no time when you have to just wolf something down and not pay attention to it more than when you've got a bag of drive-through and you're trying to shovel it down while you're weaving through traffic. So these are the places where it can really have a big impact. And again, it's just really calling attention to it. Is this something I'm doing often, and can I do it less?
Did I ever tell you about the time my brother Ryan got pulled over by Menominee Falls Police Department for eating a Buffalo Wild Wings chicken wing on the drive home?
He was a chicken wing.
Yeah, a boneless wing.
Oh, well, boneless wing's not so bad.
Yeah, but the cop pulled him over for distracted driving. Yeah.
No way. Oh,
yeah,
poor
so
Ryan.
It might not be all that safe either in the bigger
Well,
picture.
it's definitely not safe.
Yeah.
It's definitely not safe.
You get pulled over for it.
I guess so. Yeah. Oh man. The fact that it's a boneless wing makes me not. I don't think it's as bad. I'm just imagining him with a bone-in wing, two hands. Yeah, exactly. Dipping it in blue cheese. Oh, it's awesome.
I'm gonna bump this next one up the list because I think the next one follows this one well. And the one here is to become aware of calorie bombs.
Yeah,
foods that are incredibly calorie dense, and some of them are sneaky. Some of them are almost oftentimes disguised as health foods.
Well, no, some of them are straight up health foods.
Some of them are healthy. Yeah,
it's not even that. Yeah, it's not even that they're unhealthy. It's just that they've got a shitload of calories in them.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and if your priority is fat loss or weight loss, while these may have health benefits, they may be some things you want to evaluate whether they're the right thing to be consuming in the broader picture of your calorie intake. So, I'm going to list some off here quickly. Nut butters and nuts, healthy. Super calorie dense.
So healthy. And that's not to say don't eat them. It's just small amounts, eat them in moderation.
Yeah.
And this is, good, probably not the best to just mix them with stuff. Just have a little snack, small handfuls.
You look at a tablespoon of peanut butter.
Well, peanut butter, yeah.
Yeah, it is such a small amount, and it has so much. If you're putting peanut butter on a banana or something, which I love to do, it can easily, if I don't measure it out, can easily be 3, 4, 5 tablespoons of peanut butter, which is
a single serving of peanut butter for me is 2 spoonfuls. That's at minimum. Heapings, not tablespoons, multiple. Easily 4 tablespoons.
Yeah, and I think a quarter cup of nuts, almonds, is a serving, and nobody goes into a thing of almonds and eats that.
Yeah, it has 5 almonds.
Of them. Yeah, it's nothing. Granola bars, cereal's a big one. Granola. Avocado is super healthy, but high in fat and high in calorie. A really sneaky one is salad dressing, right? You're consuming a salad because it's lower in calories, but as soon as you start dousing that with salad dressing, it can get really caloric. The other one that's related to that is any added oils. Oils, butter, those sorts of things that are used for things like dressing, really high in calories. You cook in it frequently, that adds calories. When you go to a fast food restaurant or out to eat, and you wonder why a chicken breast that you'd make at home and look up on, MyFitnessPal's calorie content is so much higher on that restaurant menu. It's because of all the oil that they're cooking it in. So that's a big one. You talked about coffee drinks. Coffee drinks can be nuts. Like you're talking frappuccinos and lattes that are 400 plus calories. If you're having one of those a day, that adds up massively. Dried fruits are really sneaky because they're really easy to consume.
Because you can eat a shitload of them.
You eat a ton of them. If you eat a dried, I don't know, whatever it is, mango versus an actual full mango, you can put down a bag of the dried mango, which has a ton of calories. And then full-fat dairy has a pretty significant amount of calories in it as well. Again, healthy, but fairly caloric. So those are some things maybe to watch out for.
Well, yeah, and it's just like an important thing to think about, because this is where it gets really tough for some people. Is like we separate. There's just a line down the middle. On one side it's good, the other side is bad, and it's confusing for people when they hear somebody say avocados are bad for you when they were just told for so long that they're, the best food ever. And
Right.
And again, it like there is no, there's none of these foods are good or bad. They exist for you with good purposes. In the wrong context, they can have bad results for specific goals. So in this case, the goal is fat loss. If we're trying to lose fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit. So sometimes avocados they're not going to make the cut. If you love avocados and they are an important healthy fat for you, then you just need to cut your calories elsewhere. It's pretty simple. But it's just one of those things. It's really challenging for people because they get lied to or deceived about what's good and bad, and it fucking sucks. All right, so the next thing, dovetailing off of that, is just snacking smarter. So we just talked about some of the dangers of these like calorie bombs that oftentimes come in these snack forms. But these better snack alternatives, than the trail mix or the chips or any of that stuff. Obviously, we're going to say, are your high protein options. And we've talked about this in the past. One of our go-tos, both of us, is Greek yogurt bowls, yogurt berry bowls, a great opportunity to get some micronutrients mixed in there, fiber opportunities. And then obviously if you're using fat-free Greek yogurt, it is a protein bomb without any fat in it. So the other thing is searching for high fiber options. Like I love hummus. The dangerous thing with hummus is what the vessel, what the vessel for the hummus is. Make it your carrots and your celery and not your pita chips. And then otherwise, you just got to look for that kind of like the bang for your buck foods, that low calorie, high volume, and one thing that I actually love, now you got to be careful with this one. It's popcorn. I love popcorn and I love it. And if done well, if you make it at home and you just use, like we use, a half coconut oil, half butter, and then, you can season it however the hell you want. But if you are cooking it in just a little bit of oil, not overdoing it there, popcorn can be a really good, like high fiber option. And it's that like low calorie, high volume, as long as you're not putting too much oil on it.
Yeah. Good one around snack smarter, and just eating smarter, especially as it relates to like sauces. Another one we should have mentioned in the calorie bombs is like sauces, like barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah. Condiments.
Condiments. Yeah. A cheat code though is hot sauce. Like if you need to give some flavor to anything you're snacking on or any food that you're making, hot sauce is super low calorie and super delicious. So that's one that I like to implement.
Yeah, what did you like? One of our first podcasts, you put that as like a health hack. We talked about like weight loss hacks, and you said hot sauce. I love that.
It is. I think it's a good one. And I think this snack smarter. I mean, there's a number of different things you can choose. I think it dovetails nicely into the next one, which is to choose low-fat dairy. So we talked about how full-fat dairy can be very caloric. Fortunately, they're able to make dairy low-fat and in turn significantly less caloric. And so this plays into the snack smarter category because you can choose things like low-fat string cheese, fat-free Greek yogurt, and the calories will be really low. The protein will be really high. And these are the sorts of things you can start to habitualize, keep on hand, and choose for snacks if you're pursuing fat loss instead of a big handful of nuts or a tablespoon of peanut butter or a half an avocado or whatever it is. So low-fat dairy is a bit of a cheat code in the fat loss game as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's one of those things just because of the protein content. If you are trying to hit that 0.7 to 1 or even like 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day, it gets tough to do that with just animal sources, or even tougher if you don't eat meat. So I mean, yeah, non-fat dairy can be a huge help, especially around, and the places where I love to use it mostly is breakfast time, like those yogurt berry bowls, or dinner time, or like dessert. It's such a helpful way to have a sweet treat and then also make it macro friendly. All right.
So we have one more. Yeah, the last one we have here is around something you mentioned, which is, we've talked a lot about protein. Fiber is equally important. So I think aiming to get around 30 grams of fiber a day is an awesome tactic as well for general health, but for weight loss as well, because it's also very satiating. It'll fill you up. So I've talked before about the 3 servings of fruit, 3 servings of vegetables, a serving of legumes a day. I think that's a really practical, easy thing to kind of be in pursuit of. And by doing that, you're absolutely going to get close to or even surpass that fiber-related goal. Fiber is magical for a number of different reasons as it relates to your health, but specifically to weight loss. Very filling, very satiating, therefore helping you to eat less.
Yeah, for sure. So that's 10. I do have two little bonus ones that I think are important. One, simple as hell, just good health all around, is just stay hydrated. A lot of times thirst can be mistaken for hunger. I tell this to my son all the time, and he gets so pissed off, but it's true. Sometimes we're not hungry, we are thirsty, or we're stressed or whatever, and sometimes having that water can help quell those hunger cravings, especially if they're not related to real hunger, because that's an important distinction. We get hungry and we search for food to cope with things beyond just actual like nutrition. And then the last thing simply is be consistent and be patient. This is not going to happen overnight. That weight did not just appear overnight, so you got to give it that same amount of time to get it off. But just stick to the basics, adjust as needed, and trust the process. It will work for you. You just need to be patient. You need to believe in yourself, and believe that this stuff does work. So, I think if you do these things, you are you're going to be in such a better place in 3 months, 6 months, and especially 12 months from now.
That last point is the most important one. And we know people are really good at losing weight. They're really, really bad at maintaining weight loss. So if you're after true weight loss, fat loss, sustainably over the long term, it's going to take longer than these fad diets and these insane workout plans that are promising rapid weight loss over the short term. That has a bad rebound effect that occurs to like 80+% of people that lose that weight. So if you want to lose weight sustainably, you need to give yourself the time to do so. And then once that weight comes off, it'll stay off. And by doing these simple things, you have a recipe for doing that.
Facts. All right, let's bring it on home, Dylan. Another episode in the books. What is it? Is this 51?
This is 1 year, my friend. This is
52. Hey, happy 1 year. All right, man. What a 1 year anniversary podcast. God dang, this is amazing.
We forgot to mention.
Well, we found it. That's fantastic. All right. The Q&A this week comes from a client of mine in the gym. She asked, hey, guys, what are your thoughts on rebounding? Rebounding, for those of you who do not know, was not just my specialty on the basketball court, besides using all 5 of my fouls. Rebounding is basically, it's adults jumping on a trampoline at the end of the day. It's just a term that we have used for adults jumping on a trampoline. And generally, It's a little trampoline, like a tiny little trampoline that you see in people's houses. I have a rebounder. Do you have you probably don't have a rebounder, do you?
Not anymore. I had one for a little while. Yeah, I
Yeah.
left it in a move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you. So we bought that rebounder. Actually, got it for my son. I got it for him as a Christmas present like 4 years ago, and I was like, I'm going to use the shit out of this. And I'll tell you what, I've jumped on it significantly more than he has in that 4 year time. But I bought that rebounder from Dick's Sporting Goods for I don't know, like $30 maybe. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've had that for 4 years. I use it every single week. And I love it. I love it so much. I think that it is an underrated cardio tool. I think it's really good. I love it for a warm-up, just like hopping on it for like first thing in the morning. It's a great way to wake up, just like get the juices flowing, but also just to get ready for a workout, and you can really like let those shoulders, drop, raise and drop. And just I love that movement so much. And I do like the fact that those rebounders can take a lot of the impact out of the joints. And that's not to say that we want to avoid that type of impact stress altogether, but it is an opportunity to really get some good movement without a ton of joint impact. So I mean, I don't know about you. I love it though.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's such an easy convenient intervention that's also like kind of playful and fun. And we've already talked about how like most people don't move enough. So like keeping one in your house and jumping around on it every time you pass it, or while you're waiting for your coffee to brew or your bread to toast or your casserole to bake or whatever it is, can be a great way to just get a bit more movement. The other benefit of it that gets talked about quite a bit that I think is really interesting is related to the lymphatic system. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the hot kind of buzzwords in the wellness space is detox. And they'll sell you any product and every intervention to help you detoxify toxins from your body. And at the end of the day, our bodies are detox machines. They do a really good job of it on their own, through our liver and our kidneys and through our lymphatic system. And so this up and down motion helps stimulate the flow of lymph in our body, which supports the body's natural detox processes. So if you want to detox, take care of your liver and kidneys and move more to stimulate that lymph flow, and you'll achieve that. This has proven effects to help improve immune function by helping to flush out the waste and toxins in our body. So can be really helpful from that perspective as well.
Yeah, and that's not to say, I mean, there are a ton of ways that you can get that lymphatic system active, but I can't think of a more fun way to do it.
Yeah,
and right. That's just it. Like there's very little downside to it. It's very little investment. It doesn't take up a ton of space, and it's great for the entire family. So I think rebounders are great. I think that it should just be one of those standard healthy homeowners, or it should just be one of those things that when you move into your first house that you should get a little rebounder sent to you by our government, because they want you to be just happy, healthy people. So they're not going to do that, so you should do it yourself. Rebounding is great. Okay, let's bring it home with the greatest podcast segment ever invented. It is the I Lift a Sad Song of the Week. Dylan, it's my song this week, right?
It is.
I've got an artist that have you put a Noah Gunderson song on the playlist yet? I don't think you have.
That's criminal if I haven't.
You haven't. I don't think we have yet.
We need to go back and inventory the list and make sure this playlist is up to date. That's something
we haven't. We do need to double check it. But
there's not 52 songs on there, I don't think. So
okay. We do need to. We'll go back. We'll audit it.
And one other question before you share your song: should we do like a season 2 play? Should we make another playlist? Should it all be one big long playlist? Or should there be like you mean like two? So I Lift a Sad Song of the Week, season 2. Yeah,
that's not a bad idea. I like that.
That'll start next week with the beginning of year 2.
No, I like that, and that should be good. We're gonna have to clean up playlist number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. This is a Noah Gunderson song. It actually came on in the gym for me this morning, and it's not one that you would probably think of, Dylan. And most people here don't listen to Noah Gunderson, so they're just like, all right, buddy, let's get it over with. Dylan, it's The Coast.
The Coast, really?
Yeah.
That's a newer tune.
2021 album,
Yeah.
Pillar of Salt, third track on the album. Give it a listen to, and it'll break your heart and get you wanting to pump weights.
I feel like season 2 is going to have some Noah on it because I have some ideas now.
I think so. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.